Hello, and welcome to Module 2. In this module, we'll be focusing on the legislation and litigation that brought us to where we are currently in the landscape of American public school education. As you can see in the beginning of Chapter 2, this legislation litigation began with the Civil Rights Act, and in particular, Brown v. Board of Education. So, using some of the ideas and techniques from the Civil Rights Movement, lobbyists and people really interested in improving the education of students with special needs began to develop their own court cases, have their own legislation, their own litigation to help improve the status of education for students with differences. So in this chapter, in this module, you'll be learning more about what those were in particular and how we still use a lot of that legislation litigation today. The first federal law that focused specifically on students with special needs was Public Law 94-142 that has now been renamed the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So that legislation is critical to everything we do and in ways that we try to serve all of our students with disabilities. There are several key provisions in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. They include zero reject, which means no child can be denied an education no matter the severity or the type of disability that they may have. The second is non-discriminatory evaluation. So every student must be tested in the way that shows their abilities the best. So in the language that is most comfortable to them, in the setting that is most comfortable to them, in the ways of responding in an assessment situation, again, that are most comfortable for them so that they can show themselves and what they know in their best light. The next thing is free and appropriate education. So every child is entitled to a free education. So parents should not have to pay for their students to be educated no matter how severe their disabilities are, and it needs to be an appropriate education, one that meets the needs of their child. The next area is least restrictive environment, and this is one that music teachers got pretty confused about for a long time. Music teachers used to think least restrictive environment is the general music classroom or ensemble setting, and that's not what the law says. The law says that least restrictive environment is the environment where a student learns best, given their supplementary aids and services that they need according to law. So if a student needs to come to music at a different time, or a different day, or be with a different group of students, or be with a smaller group of students, or maybe have music in a completely different setting. So if that student goes to a separate school, all with other students who have significant special needs, then that student would be serviced with music in that same setting. So that's least restrictive environment. The next is procedural due process. So if the parent or other stakeholder have a significant difference with a plan that's in the individualized education program, or with the setting, or they disagree with least restrictive environment, they can request mediation within the child study team or within the school or with the school district. The last part is parental involvement, is that we highly encourage all parents to be involved in the process, in data gathering, in child study meetings, in the development of the IEP, and we take in consideration very strongly and very meaningfully the needs and the wants of the parents in the education of their children under IDEA. So I hope you enjoy Module 2. It's one of my favorite. I think you're going to find that they're kind of all my favorite because I love all of this. And I hope you enjoy learning more about legislation and litigation and how it relates to students with special needs. So have a great time.